amazing. The women up there, the story you just told, the passion, your conviction, it was amazing. You could feel everything. I did, and I want to ask the question: how is it actually to perform this in Australia, out of your own country, out of your heritage, and to perform your story?
Good one, Ashley.
And Eugene, you killed it. The legend, brother. And Danny, your lyrics, that song. That was
Alright, yeah, I'll give it a go. So thank you for the question. What was it like to perform outside of our home country? I feel like you carry your culture wherever you go. So no matter what the audience is, it's like there's this quote that goes by our comment Nkrumah that says, a lot of us here, we are from different countries. I'll speak for where I come from, Kenya. And Kwame Nkrumah is like one of the people, revolutionaries, if you may say. And he said, I'm not African because I was born in Africa. I'm African because Africa was born in me. I carry my identity, I carry my color, I carry my culture wherever I go. Whether I'm home or I'm performing in Australia, I always remain true and authentic to myself, and that makes me give my best. Because I know who I am, I know where I come from, I honor, I'm a child of the soil, of African soil, but I also know that Australia is my home and I honor my home. So when I perform here, I give it my best and it feels like home to me. Thank you.
You're all going to empower so many women, so many young girls, so...
Including you, Jane.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. Like, really amazing what you guys did. So.
I just wanted to add on to Shiko's. When I moved here, I was 17, and to be quite honest, I didn't have a sense of identity. I found myself in different communities and environments, and I really needed to find who I am. And I think some of us, when we put ourselves out there, it's almost like people define who you are for you. So if you don't stand up for yourself and say, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try and see what I'm capable of or what I can do, it's a struggle. And I'm very sure that a lot of people out there, even the younger ones coming up, struggle. So if we don't put it out there that you don't automatically have your sense of identity just because of your upbringing or where you're from and all that. That being said, performing here, this is my first time ever doing a spoken word. I've been on stages, I would say, but this is my first time, and I remember I took a trip to Melbourne over the weekend because I needed inspiration, and just stepping out in a different environment inspired me. And I remember being on the plane writing my piece, and that's what I needed. I just needed to block out everything, the stress, the school, and all that. Performing here is amazing, and every time I tell myself being in Australia itself is an opportunity, because I know back home we don't get these opportunities. So it's such an honor being here and performing.
Yeah, I'll totally agree with what Molly would say. I think when I came here, I was a little bit younger than you. I was like 7 or 6. The one thing for me is like, I was never allowed to be me. Like that wasn't something that you could be. I could be this idea of Africa or this idea of Australia when I'm at school, I have to be Australian. When I'm at home, I've got to be African. But I was never allowed to find what I am. So I always had to be like that creative side of myself was never allowed to exist. So I had to basically push it away as far as I can. And I think eventually, like when you suppress so much elements of yourself, you end up in a very deep and dark place that you don't want to be. And for a lot of young people out there, they don't have that space to actually just do something. So they end up gravitating towards a negative space, and then they end up joining things like games and all that kind of stuff. And so then that's where the stereotype of us comes into play as well. And so for me, I think I'm grateful for this opportunity. And in particular, so I'm grateful for Astrid. She might not know, but there was, we had like one of the shows where we're doing like modeling. That's something that's like absolutely not allowed in my household. Can't wear, even this, like wearing this is not even allowed in my household. One thing Astrid said is like, you know, keep your head up. You know, you have a beautiful face, keep your head up. And it was just that little thing. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but that's something that I've never really been told. You know, it's always like you've got to be strong. You can't afford to be, you know, less than. You always have to be this idea. And so we're always fighting with what identity is for us. We're always fighting with what culture is for us. And so I guess storytelling gives us that space to find ourselves.
Well, for me, it's Astrid again. I'm really shy, and not in my wildest dream that I ever think about going on stage. This is my first time in my life. And when I first started, I couldn't even say my name in front of 3 people.
That's great.
And here I am. So yes, I remember when we were doing the modeling one, and Astrid would make me go on stage, and I felt like I was going to pass out. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I only came here to meet people and, you know, learn and engage in storytelling and learn from one another, you know, and empower young people like myself to go out there and, you know, anything is possible. But I never dreamed that I would be on the stage tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Wow.
I learned it from you, Ashley. I just want to say it all comes down to love and compassion, and I'm honestly so grateful again for everyone. Like, I wouldn't have made it here if it wasn't for the support of my friends, my boys here, and Ashley, my new big brother in the house, my mom, my beautiful mother Jackie. And my auntie Winnie, I love you so much. Yeah, it's just from the heart and from love and compassion, and yeah, so that's just me.
Yeah, so can we just, 1 second, so we'll just have one question here. We've got a comment here, wow. We've got another question, we'll go to you, and then John. All right, so kick it off, yes.
Hi, my name is Sunny. I just wanted to thank all of you so much for what you offered to us from the stage. I think spaces where people have the opportunity to do things for the first time are extremely important, because you never know your power if you don't have the opportunity to step into it at least once. So thank you, Astrid. Thank you, everyone, for what you were able to show here tonight, because your stories are powerful, and you need to keep going with that. And I find that it's really great. I know that if my younger self, 20 years ago, could have seen people like you on stage and see myself on stage, it wouldn't have been as hard to get into theater as it has been for me. But also I just find it so fascinating seeing so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and feeling almost like that's weird, because we don't get the opportunity to see a variety of stories presented by so many, I'm going to use the word, colorful faces, unfortunately, being one myself. But I guess my question for you would be, since this has been, for most of you, the first opportunity to perform in a space like this or be part of a project like this, which parts of the process have been most challenging and what has been the most enjoyable?
Well, thank you so much for your question. You've got the mic there, so please pass it along while we'll get next ready for you. Who would like to answer this question?
For me, I think the parts that revealed who I was and who I pretended to be, a lot of workshops brought up that inner self, and then it's almost like it brings it out, and then you have to identify which one am I going with, which one you truly are. And specifically the last workshop by Eugene Smith was amazing and quite emotional. I guess it's my favorite, but it was a struggle in the sense that we started off with meditation and just being in that quiet space and allowing everything that you've struggled with and everything that you're trying to reach for come to surface has been a struggle. And obviously trying to keep up with the Sundays, every weekend rather, besides other commitments and stuff, which is expected. Yeah, so that has been the only challenge for me in trying, I guess, putting myself out there and saying, I'm going out there for myself, but for generations to come and every single person that believes in me. So, yeah.
And thank you so much, Molly.
I forgot to mention that Tanika, my sister. I just want to thank you guys. That's it. Thanks, y'all.
Sorry.
Hi. My question was for Santa and Nusayba, because I know you both personally, but I wanted to ask what has inspired Santa to write spoken words and what has inspired Nusayba to write musical lyrics.
Deliver messages, and I thought a rap would be more like aggressive, so it's just like, it's the opposite of me. I'm not aggressive at all, but like it's just a way of like just delivering a message more powerful. Like it's just, I don't know, it just like, damn, it's hard. I feel like it's just a better way for me to deliver messages, basically, and I'm also good in my workplace, so why not? Yeah, that's about it. It's just my way of delivering a message.
I think for me, how I came to spoken word, it's like it was the only thing I was kind of allowed to do that wasn't considered provocative or considered bad or unacceptable. Because when I was a kid, I really liked dance. Like that was my thing. Like I was going to be a dancer. But then it's like, you know, that whole narrative of we didn't bring you to this country to dance, so dance was out of the way. So then I was like, oh, I like modeling. Like, hey, you get paid to just walk and look pretty. I'm like, I can try that. And it's like, nope, that's absolutely not acceptable. Your parents will chop your head off when you do that. So it was like every single thing that was creative. Like I like theater as well, but you know, that was like, oh, you can't really afford to actually be like in movies and stuff like that. So okay, well that's out of the way. So it was just like, what's something that I can do and still deliver a message or like write whatever it is that's coming in me, but without being limited by, you know, family and everything that's outside. So I started I watched a lot of spoken word, and when I was in high school, my teacher showed us a spoken word. I'm like, oh, that was the only thing I found interesting actually in English class. So then I moved by myself and I started writing, and I really, really liked it. And then my friends, because I was really nervous to show anyone, so I showed it to a friend, they liked it. And then I was like, if they like it, let me show it to my sisters, because they're critics, like they're full on critics. So I'm like, if they can like stay awake through it, that means it's kind of okay. So I showed it to them and they were like, they liked it as well. So they kind of pushed me into going and doing spoken word poetry. And then in Sydney I did it quite a few times. And yeah, so that's kind of my story of how I got into spoken word. Yeah.
More. So we'll start with you. You have a comment. Is that right? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Grace. I just have a comment. Someone asked a question about being African and performing out of Africa. So, the stage you perform on and your skin color shouldn't really matter. The message you're trying to put across is what is really important and is relatable. There is domestic violence everywhere in the world. There are broken homes in Australia, UK, Manchester. There is child abuse everywhere in the world. People walk around with depression everywhere in the world. Love is a universal message. What we have learned here today is a universal message. I have learned. Now I have an idea that there are some things going on in the world which I have not experienced, and these have given me clues. I now have an idea on how I would approach one of these situations if I walk into them in the future. So your skin color and the stage you're performing doesn't really matter to me. What matters is the wonderful messages that these actors have tried to pass across to us, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for doing a great job.
Elmi, where are you? Come out of the shadows.
Just literally walk in, guys. So,
Oh, okay. Where have you been all
Yeah, I've got a question for Bella.
Way to go, questions.
So, you guys heard the song, I Got It? So I just want to say, really beautiful song. I just want to say really what inspired Bella behind the song.
Oh, okay. So,
I gotta go.
thanks, Elby. So that song was The End. I wrote it in 2019 before the pandemic, but at the time I was in a really, really dark place. And to be honest, I always make music, but I always struggle with myself. What do I want to say? And at the time, I was very much like, I want to do things on my own. And I was doing so much crazy things. I was the youth ambassador at the time, and I was in politics. I was doing a lot of music, fashion, traveling, and all this stuff. And I really wanted something to drive me. But at the same time, and you guys would have heard the quote where it's like, my service is my prayer. And when I serve people, and in everything that I've done in my life, it's always been about serving people. And at that time, even the previous year before, where I had a lot of mental health issues, I really broke down that year. It was probably one of the worst years of my life. And I don't know, I kept on hearing messages from other people, but I couldn't quite tell that, you know, you can motivate people as much as you want, or you can be there, support them, give them love, but it's never enough if they can't get themselves up, because they've got to make their own decisions. So I had to make my own decision to get up. And getting up was about telling myself, I got it, no matter what. Yeah, it's hectic outside, it's crazy, but I got it. But he amplified it, and you would have seen how everybody came up on stage. I had to tell myself, I got it. When I say, you got it, like internally, it's almost like I've got it definitely 100%. Because when I sang it to myself, it was in the mirror, and I was saying, "You got it." Like I was telling myself that, and so as the song progressed.